All right, so here we are live once again. Make sure the video starts. Yesterday we had some black screen for a little bit. So anytime you're ready, YouTube or StreamYard or whatever's causing the hold up, yeah, we still got black screen. I don't know, it's been so good about it lately, and yet here we are with the black screen. There it goes. Looks like it's a little fuzzy though. Maybe it's just taking a minute for it to catch up. Am I frozen? Now it looks like I'm frozen. I don't know. It's been crazy. I am back again, and so is Blue White Mario, also back again. So we're about to get this party started. All right, so today I got to open up for you Casey Jones from the Super7's Ultimates. And yesterday we'd open up the Mirage version of Casey Jones from NECA, and that was an excellent figure. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that one and compare it with this one, and talk about this one a lot. And of course, I've got the original, the vintage Casey Jones figure. Now, this is not the original bat that he came with. This is one that I 3D printed. I found where somebody had scanned the whole figure and just printed out the bats. And I had the other bat too, but I've misplaced it. I don't know what they did with the other bat. And this hockey stick, that's one from RBL 3D. And you can see it's ginormous. He didn't come with a hockey stick. The original figure did not come with a hockey stick. So I had to make him one. But you can see how huge it is because it's supposed to go with a much larger figure. But there was, did I have it over here? I thought I had it around here somewhere. He made a smaller one that it still, I think, would have been a little big for this figure. But the handle isn't thick enough for this figure to hold. So I had to give him like the really big one. And you can see the green doesn't quite match up. It's slightly on the more yellow side of green than the more blue side of green if you compare it with his golf bag and everything. But the only accessories I have for him from the original one is the golf bag itself and the golf club, which I keep kind of wedged in there so it doesn't get lost. So yeah, we can compare him with the original figure. And hey, today's Valentine's Day, so we can have these two together, can't we? All right. So moving on, here's the mailer box that he came in. Where did I have? I had that around here somewhere. That was Bebop over there, actually. Yeah, here's the mailer box that it came in for anybody who wants to see that. I already took it out of the mailer box. So this is Casey Jones on there, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Pretty bland, but it's a mailer box. What are you going to do? And then, of course, he's got this slip cover on the box like Super7 used to do. Apparently, they don't anymore. Got a picture of Casey Jones on there, and you might not be able to tell what it is on either side of them. If I figure it's one of those things where, like, if you don't know what it is, you're not going to know what it is. But if you do know what it is, you're going to recognize it. Got the over here, the end of the broken or the taped up golf club, and over here the end of the broken baseball bat. So it's kind of obscure since you're not really seeing the whole thing. Anyway, let's go ahead and get the slip cover off of him. Oh, we still need to read the bio on the back. Well, it's not on the back of this. It's on the back of that. But yeah, here's what the back of that looks like with the Ninja Turtles logo. Got the Ultimates, the Super7 logo on there. Just plain green on the sides. He's green because he's a good guy. Bad guys get purple. Good guys get green. And got green bricks on the inner packaging, the actual packaging. Because, again, he's a good guy. Here's what the back looks like with a little, excuse me, a little power supply box on there that we're used to. Super7 X Nickelodeon. And the bio on the back reads, Casey Jones, the battering vigilante sportsman. Like all psychos, what a way to start off. Casey Jones, the masked sportsman, wanted to be a legend. Armed with broken bats, shattered dreams, and one golf club, Casey turned his ambition toward crime fighting, modeling himself after his favorite vigilante cops show. Casey decided to take the law into his own mitts. Outfitted with cast-off sports gear, Casey challenges every criminal who dares to go out of bounds. Teaming up with our beloved turtle teens, Casey strikes out with a special vengeance against Shredder and the Foot Clan. Well, there we go. And that is pretty accurate to, if you remember, how we talked about it in the comic book yesterday, where Casey's just, we'll go ahead and have a look at it again. Casey's just kind of chilling in his apartment. Well, chilling maybe isn't the right word. More like seething, working out, watching his cop shows, and thinking to himself how talking to himself out loud because he's a comic book character, and he's also a crazy person. Geez, those guys have the right idea. Get the scum and dirtballs off the streets, but there's so much scum and so few of us good guys. The cops can't handle it. They need help. My help. And then he grabs his golf bag full of sporting equipment and his hockey mask and gets ready to go out there. And as I've mentioned many times before, pretty much any time I talk about Casey Jones, I kind of suspect that this mask was inspired by the mask that the gentleman is wearing on the cover of the Quiet Riot album, Mental Health. So if you're familiar with that album cover, if not, give it a Google real quick. Quiet Riot, Mental Health, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Looks a lot like Casey Jones. So the main change they did was, like, I think it's just like where the mouthpiece is, it's just kind of like little holes drilled in the mask, whereas Casey's drawn to be little slits. Changed it just enough that the teacher doesn't notice. All right, so getting him out of the package, and he does look very much like that original figure. But one thing you're going to notice right off the bat is he's really pale. Like, if you look at the skin color, like the original figure has a much more warm, natural-looking Caucasian skin tone, and this guy looks like he hasn't been out of his apartment in like a year. He's got like no melanin whatsoever. This guy never met a sunblock he didn't like. And it's just not a healthy skin tone. And I don't mean to casting aspersions against people who are pale, but like human skin tones should probably be kind of warm, like even an albino who's somebody who has like almost no pigment whatsoever. Their skin is still kind of pinkish and warm, This guy looks like he's a vampire or something. And, I was talking about April, the SUPER7 April as having fair skin. She's rather fair skinned, but it's still like a healthy, rosy skin tone. I've seen people in real life with this skin tone. I've never seen anybody in real life with this kind of skin tone. He just looks all sickly. So that's something I think SUPER7 could have done a better job with. Once we get him out of the package, we're going to go over the accessories and we'll do a little deeper comparison on some of the color choices between the figure, the new figure, SUPER7's Casey Jones, and the original vintage Casey Jones that it's based on. So I've got 3 Casey Jones figures to open up for you this week. Might open up the other one tomorrow. Might be later on. I don't know what my schedule's like for tomorrow, so we're just gonna have to find out. But yeah, the next episode I'll be opening up that NECA Ultimate Casey. They both call him Ultimate. The Ultimate Movie Casey Jones, which I've opened up a movie Casey Jones on this figure before. But on the show before, but this is going to be one that has better accessories to it. So we got 3 baseball bats. This one is not broken, and does not say if it's a Jose Canseco bat or not. And I hope he didn't pay money for these because they are definitely busted. This one, if we compare with, again, not the original one, it's a 3D print that I did. but it is a scan of the original bat. So we can compare the two bats. And you know how I was saying that like it seemed like the Playmates accessories were, the Super 7 accessories weren't really that much bigger than the Playmates accessories. Well, I mean, check it out. The Playmates bat is actually slightly larger, just ever so slightly, like a hair thicker and a hair longer. And granted, that's again a scan, a 3D print that I made, so it might not be the exact same size, but give or take, yeah, this is about the same size as a Playmates bat. If anything, it's slightly smaller. And they did not do like Playmates and give us two of this identical bat. They gave us another one it's kind of chipped at the top, you can see, but not all the way broken like this one is. And then, like I pointed out before, the other bat appears to be rather pristine and unbroken. So we have a variety of bats, and that's nice. As I pointed out before, Casey's main weapon in the comic book seems to be the baseball bat, even though he does have other equipment that we see sticking out of the bag. And we do see him using the golf club at one point. He tends to favor the baseball bats. He does use a hockey stick, which I'd forgotten about the other day. He did use a hockey stick, actually, but did not have a hockey stick with the original figure, oddly enough. But he tended to favor the hockey stick in the movie, whereas in the comic book, it's more the baseball bat that gets the attention. Or the M60 that he has on the cover of the second printing. See, here he is with the two baseball bats. And I think NECA did a better job of replicating the way that Kevin Eastman draws a baseball bat than Playmates did. And they are still held together with tape. Anyway, I'm going to set that aside there. And we still got more accessories to go over. It wouldn't be a Casey Jones figure if he didn't come with a plethora of sports accessories. And like I said, I think Playmates probably could have gave him more. He only had 3. But this guy's got 3 just baseball bats. And then, more weapons besides that. So we got the hockey stick. And this does look to be a goalie stick. Very similar to the one that I already printed out for the vintage one. But you can see how like this is probably a more appropriate size for this figure also. And unfortunately, a lot of these weapons seem to have excuse me. A lot of these weapons seem to have gotten warped in the package. Like, I don't know if you can see that with the baseball bat. It's really obvious to me, but I don't know if it's coming across on the camera so well. It's just a little warped. All these baseball bats are kind of warped. The unbroken one and the most broken one are just kind of slightly warped, but it's way bad with the one that's chipped. And you can see that the goalie stick is kind of warped at the end there, unfortunately. I should be able to straighten it out just, with a hairdryer or something. And then the golf club, oddly enough, I'm pretty sure the golf club actually is in good shape, but since the golf club is supposed to be warped, let's get the old Playmates golf club out of the golf bag and we can compare the two of those. And again, you can see that like it's mostly the same size. The actual putter part of it is the same size. The actual handle is slightly thicker around. You can see the Super 7 handle is more rounded at the end, and the Playmates just kind of is flat at the end. And the Super 7 one is slightly longer by maybe about a third of an inch, maybe. Yeah, so I think they probably could have made these accessories a little bigger, considering how much bigger the figure is than the original Playmates figure. You would think the accessories could be a little bigger, but maybe they figured because he's a little warped in his proportions. You can see his head's a little big. That's how the Playmates figures tended to do human beings. Like the Shredder got a lot of flack for his being kind of lanky, and I think they tried to just kind of fit the human characters into the Ninja Turtles size. I don't know how well that worked, honestly, but I don't know why I'm trying to peel this tape off instead of just cutting it, which would be a lot easier. But the last accessories that are in this top part are, again, accessories that did not come with the Playmates figure. This this figure did a much better job of giving him a full-on arsenal of sports equipment that the Playmates figure did not. They gave him 2 baseball bats and a golf club and called it a day. Whereas this one has 3 baseball bats and a golf club and a hockey stick. So the original one should have come with a hockey stick. And some hockey pucks. Which will be great if I ever make an action figure of Don Rickles. So again, we got 3 different hockey pucks. This one is just a plain black hockey puck. And then the other 2 have tape on them. And you can see this one's got 2 pieces of tape wrapped around the edges here. And this one has 2 pieces of tape that wrap around the edges and kind of cross in the middle. But yeah, that's the hockey pucks that we get. Those are probably going to get lost. Let's be honest. All right, and then we got, oh, by the way, the hands that are on Casey Jones, these are probably the hands that I'm going to keep on him because they're the gripping hands. But he does come with some other hands that we can talk about real quick. And the skin color, like I said, is much more pale on this guy than the original figure. But the gloves are a much darker color, as we shall soon see. Get all these hands out of here first. And they're really tight. And the skin color just seems way more pale even on the hands to me. Maybe because the plastic is, it's at the fingertips, so it's a little thinner. So, maybe it's a slightly more translucent. So this one kind of reminds me a lot of the hand that's actually on the Playmates figure. It's not identical to it, but it's very similar. The main difference is the middle finger on the Playmates figure, you can see, is bent a little more inwards and not quite as parallel. Max Games and Toys is here, and he says, "The mighty Alan, we have the power." We do indeed. And you're going to get the figures of the Motu 2026 movie. You know it, brother. Yeah, I'm definitely planning on getting some of those. We're gonna be a busy channel once those come out. So this is the channel that Masters of the Universe built. Like remember, the very first unboxing I ever did on this channel was the very first Masters of the Universe Origins He-Man figure, because I was just so excited to have that action figure. And I wasn't planning on making a series of that at the time. It was just, I was trying to, put stuff up on YouTube anyway. And I thought to myself, hey, I just bought this action figure. I'm really excited about it. Why don't I just do a video talking about that? All right, so we look at the other hand on the vintage Casey Jones. That one's more just like a kind of a standard C grip. And that one's more like, I think, the one that's actually on the figure. But then we have this hand that's a little more relaxed. And then we have, dang it, I dropped it in the floor. Where did it go? There we go. I think that's it. This one is also more of a C grip. So I'm not sure what the difference is between these two hands. I'm not sure what the point is here. Don't these hands just look like they're the same hand? Am I the crazy person here? Did they accidentally give me two of the same hand? I don't see like even the slightest difference in between them. They both look the same to me. And then solid fist hand. There we go. So yeah, kind of a more relaxed left and right hand, a solid fist, left and right hand. And yeah, this hand looks the same too. Why did they give you two identical sets of hands there? What's the difference? Oh, I think I know what the difference is. Ah, one of them has a horizontal hinge and one of them has a vertical hinge. Well, that's great. I'm really glad they did that then. Because remember how I was talking about the other day? It would be nice to have a horizontal hinge on there so you could have them pointing the bat or the hockey stick or whatever at his opponents. Well, Super 7 actually did that. So that's why there's two seemingly identical hands. The hands themselves are identical. It's the wrist joints that are different. And this elbow seems really stuck. So I'm just kind of trying to gently coax it into the right position. So, and there's one last accessory we need to talk about, and that is, of course, the weapons tree. Now, most people wind up leaving the weapons tree in one piece as like kind of a nostalgic piece of equipment. And this weapons tree, this weapons rack is set up so it looks like a hockey goal. It's a little small, honestly, for a hockey goal for this figure. And in fact, it's a little small for a hockey goal for the original Playmates figure. It, should be big enough he could actually, fit inside the goal. But it is a nice touch as far as, giving us a little bit of a little bit more character to the weapons rack. I like the way that they'll make these weapons racks kind of fit, with the with the character a little more. And you can see these are all in that kind of teal green color. How well does it match up with the original one? Well, it's a little more on the blue side of green than the stuff the original Casey Jones figure came with. So it's like you can see like my 3D printed version is a little more green and their version is a little more blue. It's still like a teal kind of color, but mine is more of a true green and theirs is a little more bluish. So anyway, I'm trying to set him somewhere where he won't fall. I got too much stuff packed up. But yeah, like I said, most people tend to just like leave these weapons racks together as like a nostalgic sort of extra. I'm sure some people wind up taking the weapons off the rack so they can give them to the figure. Personally, I'm kind of more tempted to do this with Casey Jones than I have been with any figure thus far, because I always liked the teal color of the accessories on the original figures. And I would have liked to have seen that a little more acknowledged in the accessories that came loose. Like maybe one or two of the bats could have been the teal color. Maybe the hockey stick or the golf club could have had some teal detailing on it. But yeah, I kind of feel like that the teal weapons, to me, they're a little more definitive. As far as a Playmates version of Casey Jones goes, they're a little more definitive. So I'm kind of tempted to do that this time. But they still did give him the teal golf bag, and you see it's got like two tones, like the strap is like a slightly darker teal, and it's got all these little metal bits like zippers and buttons and snaps and carabiners and hooks and all this kind of stuff like you'd have on a golf bag. All this stuff is kind of detailed on there, very nicely done. So yeah. So there's that. Let's talk about Casey Jones himself. Now, one thing that I kind of feel like is a missed opportunity with this toy is they could have given us an unmasked Casey Jones head, and I think that that would have been something that would have been really cool. But unfortunately, they did not include that with this figure. Max Games and Toy says that figure is really good. He looks like he's good to me so far. I've got a few nitpicks, and you've already heard me talk about like how I kind of feel like his skin color is too pale. Like if we look at the Shredder here, since I brought the Shredder over because I wanted to make sure we could compare. Like to me, the Shredder has a much more healthy sort of skin tone. Like he's obviously been out in the sun, and this to me works better as far as the coloring goes than Casey. Just looks like way on the pale side. And like I pointed out before, even April O'Neil, who is rather fair-skinned, it's still kind of pinkish, still kind of warm. You can tell she's got blood flowing through her capillaries. Whereas, here's a height comparison. Casey is slightly taller than April. Max Games of Toy says my favorite one is the Casey from Turtles of Grayskull. Yeah, I really liked that figure. I thought they did a great job with him. I do kind of wish that, I like the mask that came with the figure, but I do kind of wish he had also like an alternate mask that looked a little more like this. But for what it is, it's a really good figure. I really like that figure. That one I thought was one of the better Turtles of Grayskull figures. I think that was probably one of the ones that made me finally go, yeah, I definitely want to start buying these. Before I had the Shredder, and I was pretty thought the Shredder was great, but I wasn't really sure if I really wanted to take the plunge on the whole line. But eventually I did, and I think Casey was one of the ones that got me to do that. So I'd heard some people say that there were some parts reuse between the Shredder and Casey, but I don't think there's as much as it might seem like. They don't have the same torso. I'd heard some people say they think this is the same torso with just kind of like a plastic overlay of the sweatshirt, but that does not seem to be the case to me. It looks like the sweatshirt is actually part of the same mold. In fact, I can see over here where like the paint didn't quite, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, the paint didn't quite reach on the shirt. So there's still like a slight little, can you see that on the camera? Like right about where the shoulder pauldron is. You see where there's that little bit of flesh color where it should be painted on the shirt? It's not that noticeable. And I don't even know if you see on the camera. But yeah, this is definitely a new torso mold. The arms do look like it's based on the same sculpt, but I don't believe that it is the same mold. I like there's like more of a hairy texture on Casey's arms, which again goes back to that original Playmates figure. Like you can probably even see on the camera here how he's got like a hairy forearm texture, and he's got hair on his abs. I don't know how well you can see that with the belt. He's got armpit hair. It's because Playmates just like to add any kind of disgusting detail they could, and they gave Bro armpit hair. I don't think he has any specific armpit hair on this figure. It doesn't look like. There's just kind of like a slightly general hairy texture to the torso. Where the abs are, I can definitely see it. It looks like maybe a little bit, but not like the full-on bush like the Playmates one has sculpted in there. But he's definitely got a hairy texture sculpted onto his arms and onto his abs. And I think that he might share the same thighs as the Shredder. It looks like he and the Shredder do have the same thighs. And they're not alone. These thighs are also shared by the Foot Soldier, from what I understand, even though I don't have the Foot Soldier yet. And I'm guessing that the lower legs are different, the arms are different, the torso is different. So it looks like to me the only part that I can say with certainty that Casey and the Shredder share is the thighs, and maybe the hard plastic piece that's under the rubber trunk piece here. That probably is a common piece as well, but I can only speculate and say it's probably a common piece. I don't know with absolute certainty whether it is or is not a common piece. I could not say for certain. But what I'm guessing is, and obviously the forearms are different because the Shredder's got wraps almost all the way up to the elbow, and Casey just has wraps to the middle of the forearm, and no wraps at all on the left arm. Max James Toy says my favorite TMNT series is the 2003. I just got the 4 SUPER7 turtles. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I've got these. I got the Playmates turtles. I don't know if I'm gonna take the plunge on their Ultimate 2002 figures yet. I've just been buying a lot of Ninja Turtles lately, so. But they do look really cool. Like I do think they look really nice. And NECA is putting out the 2012 Ninja Turtle figures. So this is a lot of cool Ninja Turtle stuff. And speaking of Turtles of Grayskull, of course, we got the news that Mattel is going to be taking over the Ninja Turtles license. So hopefully they'll have some cool stuff coming for us in the future. So yeah, color wise, comparing with the original colors, like you can see the colors are close, but they're all just like a little bit off. Because like I keep harping on, I don't mean to keep harping on the skin color, but like the Playmates Casey had a much warmer, more natural Caucasian skin color, and this guy's just kind of pale and washed out. The glove on the left hand is a bit darker. You can see this one's almost more like a milk chocolate color. This one's more like a dark chocolate color. The pants on the new figure, they look pretty similar on the screen as I'm looking at them. But the pants, looking at them with my naked eye, they're slightly more pale and slightly less purple than the kind of purplish gray sweatpants that the vintage Casey Jones has. Also, his sweatshirt kind of airs more to the blue end of teal, and this one kind of airs more towards the green end of teal, but they're still teal. So yes, the director is here. It says so much turtle goodies coming out lately. Exactly. And like I know Ninja Turtles is like one of the best-selling action figure properties in the entire world, and everybody wants a piece of that pie. But eventually it gets to the point where it's like, can I really afford to buy all of this stuff? And remember, I'm even a late comer to SUPER7 as it is. It wasn't that long ago that I opened up the Shredder, which was the first of the SUPER7 figures that I opened up. By the way, my latest order from Big Bad Toy Store, I'll have the silver version of the Shredder coming. So, I just love Shredder figures. But that's going to be on the way soon. So yeah, I'm just like, what year did this guy come out? Let's see. Where's the copyright date on him? It's in his thighs. What year was this that this came out? Yeah, this one's 2021. April was 2021. This action figure is about 5 years old at this point, and I'm just now getting around to it. I was sleeping on this SUPER7 line. Like, I don't even know if I really knew it existed. Like, I'm sure I knew it existed, but like I just kind of like in the back of my mind, I'm gonna take the golf bag off of my original one. Oh, he's got a little snap on there, so I can just take it off that way. I don't have to pull all the stuff out of his hands. Because I want to look at he always had it seemed like he had this twisted spine. Like you can see like the vertebrae and everything. And this guy, they kind of recreated it a little bit, but not quite as extreme. This guy is a little bit more toned down and naturalistic than the original Playmates figure, who is very exaggerated, very stylized. And this guy keeps some of the stylization of it, but not quite to that extreme extent. Everything's a little off kilter on this guy. Like, even if you look at the top of his hockey mask, like the edge of it is just a little off kilter. And remember when they made this, he'd only appeared in the Mirage comics. He hadn't even been on the cartoon yet. And it was really, I think, the movie that kind of stabilized his character a bit. And he was still crazy, but he kind of had like a little bit more of a he was a little bit more grounded in terms of like his personality and his sanity than the comic book counterpart. And the Playmates figure is purely the Mirage Comics version. And I'll go so far as to say, like, probably even before the second appearance of Casey Jones, it's probably just based on that first appearance of Casey Jones where he's really crazy. So CS, the director, says, I'm a bit sad that Playmates lost the license, but also excited to see what Mattel will put out. The Turtles of Grayskull prove that they can cook. I absolutely 100% agree with all of that. I kind of think of it almost like if you're a fan of Doctor Who, a lot of the times whenever the sitting doctor will leave and the new doctor will come in, you're sad that you're losing your Doctor Who. You really were enjoying, David Tennant or Matt Smith or whoever. And then the next guy comes in and you're like, well, I hope he's good. And you go through a period where you're like, yeah, he's good, but I still miss the old guy. You get more and more used to Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi or whoever. And then by the end of it, when he's about to go, you're like, man, I'm gonna miss him when he's gone. I hope the new guy's good. It's like that's kind of how I feel about this. Is like it's just kind of earth shattering in a way. It's weird to think about a world where Playmates isn't going to be making Ninja Turtles action figures, since they've literally been making Ninja Turtles action figures since 1989. I'm sure a lot of people collecting Ninja Turtle probably most people collecting Ninja Turtle action figures weren't even alive in a world where Playmates wasn't making Ninja Turtle action figures. So it's like it's definitely like a mind-blowing sort of thing. But yeah, I think Mattel is gonna do a good job. I think they're gonna do right by the boys. I think I kind of wish that they could just all do. I don't know, why not? I mean, like it seems like every toy company is doing Ninja Turtles toys anyway. Mattel was already doing Ninja Turtles toys because they did Turtles of Grayskull. Oh well, whatever. But yeah, absolutely agree with you. All right, so let's talk about a little more about the paint job. He does have the blue streaks in his hair, which comic book characters oftentimes have blue highlights in their hair. Like famously, if you look at Superman comic books, his hair is always colored with blue highlights. Wonder Woman as well. Usually from the golden age of comics, that's like a leftover from that. That's how they would do the highlights and in the hair color, because they had like a limited color palette in golden age comics, and it just kind of became a thing. And of course, the original Playmates figure had those blue highlights in the hair, and the shoes seem like that's actually where they managed to match the colors up the best. Even though I think the shoes are still like a little more sort of less vibrant and a little more washed out. And they did paint in the shoelaces on this guy. And again, like with Bebop, I always imagine these as being Converse All Stars, but they're not really colored to be like Converse All Stars. And if you look at the treads they actually put into the bottom of the sneakers, they're definitely not Chuck Taylor treads. So anyway, let's talk about his articulation now. So Casey Jones can look up about that far, look down not very far. I'm kind of surprised he can only look down about that far. Tilt his head kind of slightly quizzically from side to side. Rotate the head all the way around. Of course, it does bump into that shoulder pauldron there. And now it's bumping into it going the other way. So I'm just going to have to try to force it. All right, there we go. So one thing that I kind of feel like is a missed opportunity about this figure is it would have been nice to have an unmasked head. Now, granted, the original Casey Jones figure, obviously you couldn't take off his mask. But, I mean, you got 3 different heads for April O'Neil. Why not toss in an unmasked head for Casey Jones? I'm just saying, that would have been nice. So his arms rotate all the way around the shoulders and raise up to the sides about that far. You know, even with the shoulder pauldron on there, I don't think that interferes with it too much. Max Games and Toys asked, "Do you like the Mondo figures?" I think they're cool looking, but I just can't afford them. They're just so expensive. And the Masters of the Universe 2000X, those look great. I love those figures. Those look awesome, but I don't think I'm going to be able to afford them. And I got again, we got so much Masters of the Universe stuff coming out already. Like you know. I'm going to be really busy with the movie figures, I think. And hopefully we'll get some more non-movie figures after that. Nothing against the movie figures, but, you know, I don't blame them for concentrating on the movie figures when the movie's coming out. But I would like to see, more regular Origins figures. I don't think that they've even done all the vintage figures yet, have they? As far as the Origins line, I think there's still a few vintage figures they can still make. I know they haven't made any movie vintage figures, so there's at least 3 there. They could make Blade, Sorod, and Gwildor for classic or for Origins. And what else haven't they made? I think there's still a few more, but I can't remember them at the moment. I will at some point go through all of the figures and figure out which ones still need to be made. So anyway, that's about the range of motion you get at the articulation, a little bit more than 90 degrees. So good on him. Like I was complaining about April not having quite as good a range of motion there, but he's got more than 90 degrees, so that's good. And then he's got a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around, and also the elbow joint rotates all the way around, so you can move that bicep around any which way you want. I'm pretty sure that's also how Shredder was set up, if I remember correctly. So really, one of these joints is kind of superfluous, but I'm not going to complain. And then the wrists, of course, rotate all the way around, as I pointed out before. These hands that are on the figure already have a vertical hinge, so they can move up and down like that. But if you prefer to have a horizontal hinge, he does have some gripping hands with the horizontal hinge, so that's good. Anything that gives you more display options is good. Max Games and Toys says, I think they're expensive with a lot of articulation problems. I hadn't really heard about the articulation problems, but I know they're expensive. But you know, it's like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford any of those ever. But whatever. So he can kind of tilt from side to side a little bit, back and forth a little bit, and of course rotates all the way around at the waist. Now I should point out, and many people have pointed out, there unfortunately is a little bit of a gap issue here. Looking at him in person, I don't think it's quite as bad as I was afraid it was going to be from when I was looking at some of the videos online, and it might look a little worse to you, but if you look at him kind of straight dead on, it's not really a problem. If you kind of look down on him like that, then that's when it starts to be a problem. But I think I can at least get some good photographs out of this guy, and it'll look pretty decent when he's standing on my shelf. By the way, one thing that I just noticed here is he's actually got a little chip in his hockey mask. You see that? You can see his hair a little bit through there. Now, as I recall, yep, the original figure had like a little piece of hair, like a little cowlick falling over the hockey mask. So I don't know if that was purposely them trying to do something a little different, or if they just misinterpreted this as a crack. Like it almost looks like they didn't quite have like the original figure to refer to. And if you look at it kind of dead on, it almost matches up. But if you look at it from the side, that's when it starts to not really look like the original figure that much. Although it is a good head sculpt for Casey Jones, I do think that it looks like the character. You know, it just like doesn't look quite as much like the original figure as it could. Casey can kick up about that far, and then he's got a single joint of articulation at the knee that bends not quite 90 degrees, and then it rotates all the way around at the knee. I wish it rotated all the way around at the thigh, so then you could rotate it around this way. That would, I think, be a better place to put that joint. But I'm just kind of armchair quarterbacking the Four Horsemen, who are some of the greatest action figure designers of all time. So, but whatever, you know. Casey has ankle articulation that points down about that far and points up about that far. And it does have a rocker ankle on it, but the high top sneakers kind of bump into a little bit. He does not seem to have any kind of boot cut whatsoever. So there's that. Oh, and I forgot to point out, he does have the torn knees with the bandages underneath. Again, just like the original Playmates figure. So let's talk a little bit more about the accessories. And man, this joint is really stiff. This other knee joint. I hadn't tried to move it yet. So now I'm trying to move it. And it's just really super stiff. There we go. We can kind of try to get him into like a squat, like how the original figure was. But he's still like more natural human proportions than the original figure. So it doesn't quite capture the feel of it. But you see what I'm talking. Like if you want to go for like a more Playmates kind of look, you can still get him into a little bit of a squat. So that's good. So let's talk about the accessories, because I hadn't really talked too much about those as far as like, you know, we talked about the accessories some, but we can talk a little bit more about fitting them onto the figure. And what I can do also is, can we get a two-handed grip on this thing, on this hockey stick? You know, like I was talking about with the NECA hockey stick, it's kind of easier to just get it into the more narrow part there and then pull it so that the tape is around like that. But can I get him into a two-handed grip with it? Because that'll be cool. Yeah, there we go. High sticking. All right, so let's get that off of there, and we can have a look at these baseball bats. So here is the unbroken bat, and you can see what I'm talking about with that vertical hinge. How we can get them to kind of point the baseball bat at you. That's cool. I like that. And we can have them dual wield with one of the other bats. Let's try the broken one. Yeah, that's cool. There we go. And the golf club. Last time I called golf a boring sport. So there is that. 4. And then last but not least, as far as the accessories, well, at least the accessories he can hold. I guess maybe he can hold a hockey puck. We'll try to have him hold a hockey puck. Yeah. He could probably throw them, like the way the Ninja Turtles have their throwing stars. This could kind of be like his equivalent of the throwing stars. Or just toss one up in the air and then hit it with the goalie stick. Knock it through the air at the bad guys. Pretty neat. So I don't believe, yeah, this doesn't look like there's a way to unstrap to like I was saying how with the vintage the vintage golf bag, it had a little bit of a peg here, so you could open up the strap and wrap it around the figure that way. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it over Casey's shoulder because the strap is kind of a little on the small side. And you can see the golf bag again. It's if anything, it's slightly smaller than the Playmates version. But honestly, the Playmates version is kind of a little large for what it should be in real life anyway. So I can kind of forgive him for that. This is going to be kind of tricky with the pauldron, even if I take his head off. And I'm thinking taking his head off is going to be the best way to do this, if I can get his head off, hopefully. Because it is kind of cold. And I wound up pulling the peg out of the neck. I don't like it when that happens. I prefer for the neck peg to stay in there. But I was able to get the golf bag over his shoulder fairly easily. And you can see that the strap is a little more... The strap is definitely more naturally proportioned than the... whatever this is supposed to be on the original Playmates figure. Excuse me. So now I have to try to get his head back on. And that means I have to try to get the peg back into the neck. And it is just not wanting to... It's just wanting to wobble all around while I do that. Oh, I really wish that hadn't come out that way. That is annoying. And my hairdryer is actually in the kitchen right now because I was working on some stuff in the kitchen with it. And I have my little hobby set up at the kitchen table. And, I don't really like to use the hairdryer on the videos, and that doesn't mean I won't do it, but I don't like to. And it's not really an option right now anyway. Well, whatever. I think we're probably about done with this video anyway. I've talked about pretty much everything. All I need to talk about now is fitting the accessories into his golf bag. We can put the hockey pucks in there too, probably. But whatever. I'm gonna see if I can fit all this stuff in here. first. So there he is with 2 baseball bats and the golf club. And I figure most of the time you probably want him to have like 2 weapons in either hand. But we can kind of rather snugly fit all 3 of the baseball bats in there. And then I suppose I could have him holding the hockey stick in the dual, the 2-handed grip. And that can be that. So anyway, this is a really great figure, other than the fact that I can't get his head back on. I do wish that they'd done a better job with the skin color, giving him a more natural skin color. And like I think for the most part, they did a really good job with this figure. I think an extra unmasked head would have made him like just that much better. And I wish that this head hadn't have popped out in the way that it did. Now, they did do a repaint of this figure where he's got a red hoodie, so he looks a little more like the Mirage Comics version. And that one has an alternate head, but it's still not an unmasked head. It's just one where the mask is kind of cracked, and you can see a little bit more of his face. But it's still not an unmasked head. So it would have been nice if they had given us an unmasked head for this guy at some point. But oh well, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to cut this video short now. This is going to be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Next episode, I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or, when it's going to be. But next episode, I'm going to come back with the 3rd Casey Jones figure that I have to open up for you, which is the NECA Ultimate movie version. So we can talk a little bit more about that. Hopefully when I go to take his head off, it won't pull the neck peg out with it. But if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you like and subscribe and all the other fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Casey Jones, both this figure and the character in general. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I like to say like and subscribe. I like when you leave comments. Please make sure you leave a comment. Max Games Toys says, great video. Glad to see you. Likewise, glad to see you as well. Thank you for the compliment. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Next episode, 1990 movie, Casey Jones. And we'll have more fun stuff after that. I don't know what figure I'm going to open up next after that, but I know I've still got Splinter and the Mousers and all 4 of the Ninja Turtles themselves. We have the power! Indeed we do. And that's going to be it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I will talk to you next time.